Hi guys, some quick prep help with this Sunday's Wonder Easter lesson, lesson 4, Jesus is alive. And this Sunday we want our children to be certain that Jesus is alive and keen to tell others about him. I think it's pretty clear in our country at the moment that these are difficult times and sad times, and we need good news. We need hope that we can share even on the darkest, saddest day. And that is why we have Easter Sunday. We know that Jesus is alive, that Jesus rose, and he gives us hope of life forever with him. The particular question that it asks us in the leader's notes: what makes you sure that Jesus is alive? And for me, I think, yes, it's the gospel account of Luke and the evidence that's in there, but it's the fact that we have the whole of the Bible story, the whole of the good news, that from the beginning, God knew what we needed and planned, that Jesus would come, that Jesus would die, that Jesus would rise, so that I could have new life now, knowing him. And one day when my body dies, I'm raised to be with him forever in heaven. What better news could we be looking at? Okay, so no doubt your kids this Sunday have already been out running around the garden and done an Easter egg hunt, or maybe an Easter memory verse hunt if we're not going to eat too much chocolate. So to get going this Sunday, we're going to get ourselves in the mood for understanding about our senses. So I'm going to get a blindfold. I'm going to put a blindfold on my kids, and then I'm going to do a few quick either feely bag challenge or sensory challenge. So can you tell me, using just your sense of smell, delicious, what is this item? Can you tell me, using just your sense of taste, what is this item? I will peel it first, clearly. And then finally, using just your sense of touch, what is this delightful item? This is the unicorn slime that my daughter has been nagging me to make since Christmas, and we finally made. Okay, so we've done our sensory challenge. Now we're going to look at the Bible passage. This is where Jesus meets with his disciples and gets them to feel certain by what they see, by what they touch, by what they hear him say, that he is alive. So before we start, we're going to use this sliding scale that was on the worksheet, and I'm going to say, how certain are you that Jesus is alive? Mark it on your sliding scale. He's dead, he's definitely alive. Where do you think you are? And I'm going to come back to the end and say, where do you think you place it now we've looked at the evidence. Okay, so I'm going to start off looking through the verses. I'm going to say, what does Jesus tell his friends to come and see? Come and see that it's me. Come and see that I have the nail marks in my hand. I have the spear in my side. It's not a look-alike. It's the Jesus that really died. And then he says, come and touch. Come and touch. Touch me. I'm not a ghost. I'm real. I have a body. Come and touch. And then he says, watch. This is not some trick. This is not a hologram. This is not something else. I'm really here. I have a real body. He eats in front of them. So I'd go through those. I'd go a bit further with older ones. What does he tell them? Why does he tell them this needed to happen? Don't forget, you've got the lovely pictures. We've got, again, Jesus telling them how this is God's plan from the very beginning. God's mega plan for the universe was always that Jesus would come and die and rise, so that repentance and forgiveness could be shared with all people. Okay? So we start to look at the Bible passage, then we want to think, how does this make a difference to me? What does this change? So those are your did you spot it and your so what questions. If Jesus is really alive, how does that help you? If Jesus is really alive, how does that help others? How does that help the people on your street? How does that help the people that you know in your family? And if Jesus is really alive, and if everything that he said is true, what should we be doing? I think it'd be a great time to perhaps pray as a family, to talk about how can you share the good news. Perhaps you can make a Easter display to put in your window, like alongside your rainbows, that Jesus is alive. Good news for everyone. Okay, we're going to finish with a heart and hands activity. We're going to spend some time talking together as we make this. To make sure we've really got it, we're going to make an evidence bag. And in my evidence bag, I'm going to put, Jesus said, come. Jesus said, come and see. Jesus said, touch me, I'm real. Jesus ate a fish. And then I'm also going to put in, what did Jesus say? And I'm going to put that memory verse in for older ones as well. Verse 47 and verse 48. Okay, so our evidence bag is made. We are now going to go back. How certain are we? Remember, the disciples weren't certain, but they met Jesus and they saw him and they became certain. We have the whole of the story. We have even better evidence than they have. We have not only Luke's gospel account, we have what happened next in Acts. We have the whole of the Bible story. We can understand from beginning to end why God's plan was that Jesus had to come and die and rise. Good news to share this Sunday.